All right, guys, so in the second video, like I said, we're just going to run through some more examples of given a triangle, deciding which trig function to use, how to set it up, how to solve it for x, okay? If at any point you want to try one of these on your own, I'm just going to say hit pause on the video, do it yourself, hit play, I'll go through it then. I have put the SOHCAHTOA on each slide, so as we click to each new problem, it'll be there as sort of that helpful reference. Okay, so we're going to look at our second problem here. Again, first thing I'm going to do is I want to identify my three sides. So I'll just do this with a pen this time. Here's my right angle. I go across. So this is my hypotenuse, right? This time my angle has the x in it. If I go across, this is my opposite side, but notice opposite is empty. So you can label it if you want, or that's the one I don't need. What I do need is that this is my adjacent side. So what that tells me is that this time I have to use the hypotenuse, I have to use the adjacent side. So when I come down here, that means I need to use cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So when I'm setting up my problem this time, I'm going to have cosine of the angle. In this case, my angle is x equals, and then we want that fraction. So adjacent is 8 over hypotenuse 15. Okay. This is where, again, think back to last week. When x is the angle, meaning x is over here with our word cosine, I don't want to touch this fraction. I need to use my inverse, right? So this is where technically I'm going to have x to cosine with that -1, and then we're going to still enter that fraction, 8 over 15. Okay, and if it helps, you can have that fraction in parentheses. Okay, oftentimes that's how it's going to look when you put it in on a calculator. Okay, so this is where if I pull that calculator back up, okay, remember this is where I'm going to have to hit that function, or on your regular calculators, you're going to need that second button. So I'm going to need that inverse tangent, and I'm going to then need to enter that I need 8 divided by 15. And so we're looking at a 28.0724. This time we're finding an angle measure, right? So if I'm finding an angle measure, it told me to round these to the nearest whole degree. So the 0 here would not round up. So this is a 28-degree angle. Okay, so my x would just equal 20 degrees. Okay, and you can use a degree bubble. That works. Okay, so just remember when you're finding an angle, you're going to need to use that inverse. So let's try another one. Again, hit pause if you want to try it yourself first. So if I go through and I label things, here's my right angle, hypotenuse is empty. Here is my angle that I'm using, the 20. I go across, here's opposite. That makes this adjacent. So opposite and adjacent, once again, that means I'm using tangent. So if I'm using the tangent of my angle, which is 20, that's going to equal my fraction, opposite 10, adjacent is x, okay? In order for this to work, I need to get x by itself. So that means whatever's on the bottom of the fraction is technically what I want to multiply by. So my next line here is actually going to read x times the tangent of 20 equal to 10. Okay? And if that's the case, I still need to get x by itself. And if I want to get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides here by this tangent of 20. Okay? So tangent of 20 is actually going to move to the bottom of my fraction. Okay? Now, I don't necessarily need to see these two steps. What I do need to see, and quite frankly, what I need to see on any problem, is I do need to see your problem solved for x. So I need this to show me that x is going to equal this fraction of 10 over tangent of 20. Okay, just like on the previous problems, you should show me the part where x is equal to whatever you're putting in your calculator. By showing me what goes into your calculator, I know that you understand how to set the problem up. I know you understand how to solve it for x. And if you then get a wrong answer, then I know it's a calculator error. We're either pressing the wrong button, in the wrong order, calculator's in the wrong mode. So that's very important that you show me what you're putting in the calculator, because then I know where your mistakes are and how best to help you, and whether or not you actually know how to set a problem up correctly. Okay, so x, 10 over tangent of 20. So 10 divided by, on the bottom here, I'm going to put in my tangent of 20, 27.47. This is a side length, so we need nearest tenth. So that means the 7 would round by 4, and we're looking at a 27.5. And so that 27.5 is my final answer. Okay. We'll do another one. Again, pause if you want to try yourself. Okay. We're looking at an angle. So if we label, again, it looks like my hypotenuse is empty. So here my angle is x. This is going to be opposite. This is going to be adjacent. And that means, once again, I'm using tangent. Okay. Understand all three are equally possible on any given problem. It doesn't mean that tangent is more likely just because we've had a few that are tangent. It just depends upon where everything is. So tangent of the angle, which is x, equals, start a fraction, opposite is 31, adjacent is 17. And so this means I'm going to need to use that inverse, right? X is going to equal tangent with that -1. And if we enter our fraction, it stays 31 over 17. Okay. If you pull up your calculator, you put in the inverse tangent of 31 over 17. Okay. Just make sure, as always, if you're finding an angle, you do need to round to the nearest whole degree. This would come up to be a 61.2. So that means x is actually just going to stay a 61-degree angle. We can put the degree bubble there. And there's our answer for number 4. Okay. Let's do one more. So labeling our sides, here's my right angle. I go across, here's hypotenuse. 65 is my angle. I go across, this is opposite. And so that makes my adjacent side empty. Opposite and hypotenuse, that's going to be sine. So this time I'm looking at the sine of my angle, which is 65. Oops, 65 equals my fraction. Opposite is x, hypotenuse is 44. Okay, so this is one where you would multiply both sides by 44. 44 times the sine of 65, that's going to equal x. So again, there you are, showing me what is equal to x, what's going into your calculator. And so 44 sine of 65 in this case is going to be a 39.87. The 7 rounds up, so we're looking at 39.9 equals x. And that is our answer for number 5.